Welcome to How to GAIA GPS. This is going to be an entire video series on learning to use GAIA GPS inside and out on both the web and mobile versions. I know a lot of people are intimidated when they first see GAIA GPS, they don't know where to start, and there's quite a bit of a learning curve to it. So hopefully by the end of this video series, you guys are going to be well versed in how to use GAIA GPS and be very comfortable with it. So let's get started. In today's video, we're just going to be going over a very basic overview of what you see on the screen here with the web version, and we'll take a look at the mobile version too. Over on the left here, we have the menu bar, and at the top we have the map section. So I'm going to click the first one, which is overlays, and tell you what those are about. So overlays are anything you put on top of the map. So for example, the first one is waypoints, which is all these markers that you see all over my map of California right here, and waypoint labels. So that's just a little text below each marker, which I can turn off, or I can turn off the waypoints completely if I wanted to. Below that we have routes and tracks. So I'm going to scroll up here on the map a little so we can get a better look at those. And that's just these colored squiggly lines that you see in these areas here. So first one is routes, which I can turn off or on, and then tracks as well, which I can turn off or on. So the difference between routes and tracks, and we'll go over this in much more detail in future videos. Routes are basically paths that you program into the map manually, and tracks are ones that you're actually recording in real time when you're out there. You also have areas, which I don't have on the map right now. Public tracks, which are the same thing as tracks, except they're publicly accessible. Saved trails, like for hiking, things like that. And then finally at the bottom we have grid overlay. So if I click none, I get some options here, and that's just going to throw like a latitude, longitude overlay on top of everything, and there you have the grid lines that you see there. I'm going to turn that back off and turn waypoints back on for a second. The next video in this series is going to be one just all about map layers, so we're not going to be talking about this in detail today. Below layers is saved items, so that's all the data that you have saved, like waypoints, tracks, routes, all that good stuff, however you want to organize it. Right here you can see I kind of have things divided into states, and the only ones I have visible right now that aren't grayed out are California Southern and California Northern. So if I wanted to turn on, let's say, I'm going to zoom out here and scroll over to Colorado, I can turn on Colorado stuff, I can turn off Colorado stuff. Let's go back to California here. Again, I can turn off Southern California, or I could click into Northern California and turn off specific things too. There will be a dedicated video talking about organizing all of your saved items so that you can keep everything neat and tidy and easy to find. Below saved items is preferences. You have some really basic selections here, like I have my units in imperial, and then your GPS coordinate formats. I usually have it set to decimal degrees, but you can choose another option if you like. Now, below the map section, we have the create section. So this is how you make things like waypoints, routes, areas, and we're not going to go over that today. That's going to be a whole separate video on its own too. Below those is import data. So you can import files from other people that you find online. The most typical ones are GPX files and KML files. It's going to be another video on that too. Now below that is print map. So here you can actually print a physical copy of whatever map layers you have open right now and whatever overlays you have visible, or you can export it as a PDF and save that to your phone, for example. Way at the bottom we have the Learn and Help button. So those will open up the GAIA GPS website's how-to section and also the help section. And this help center here is a good place to start if you have trouble figuring out how to use a particular feature in GAIA GPS. So I'm going to get rid of those, and we're going to take a look at the actual map section now. Up at the top you have a search bar. So let's say you want to find a point of interest. Let's say we want to take a look at Half Dome in Yosemite National Park. You get a bunch of results, and when you hover over one of them, you're going to get little highlights on the map indicating where that object is. So let's just go to this little mountain icon one, Half Dome in Yosemite National Park. And that's going to focus the map in on Half Dome that you see right there, and give you some basic info on it. And we'll go over this stuff in detail as we go through the whole video series. So I'm going to close that for now. Over to the far top right corner, you have a little bell icon. Those are just any notifications that you have. And then to the right of that, you have your profile icon. I just have the default GAIA GPS icon here. But if you click that profile icon, you have from tracks all the way down to folders here is a different way to see all that saved item data that you have. So let me click on routes. That's going to bring you to a page where you can see everything you have in terms of routes that you've saved. You can search for specific things, organize it in different ways. It's just a cleaner view than your normal saved items section right here. Like saved items is where you would organize data, again, which we'll go into much more detail later. But the view here is a little bit nicer when you want to find something really, really specific. Okay, below that you have the upload selection, which is the same exact thing as import data on the far left there. And then you have create a team, so you can create a team of other GAIA GPS users where you can collaborate on maps together. Below that is my profile, which is just your GAIA GPS public profile. And then my subscriptions just lands you on a page where you have details on your current subscription when it renews. And then settings, which is all your account settings. And then finally log out, which we're not going to do right now. At the bottom left you have a scale for distance, and that'll adjust as you zoom in and out. And lastly, on the far right, you have the map legend right here. And that's going to show you things and highlight things for you that are on your current map view. And then 3D. So this will enter the 3D mapping mode. And how I normally do it, you do have a little bar right here where you can adjust the angle. But the easier way to do it is just to hold down the control key on your keyboard while you click on the screen, and then you can spin the map around and pan it up and down as you please. And right now we're looking at Yosemite Valley. So let me zoom in and get you a real good look here. So that's pretty cool, right? And there's your half dome right there. All right, let's kick it back into 2D mode now, because we're going to look at that again in much more detail as we go. Right here is the Find My Location button. I don't have location services turned on, so it won't work in my browser, but that's what that button would do. And then down here you have a zoom in and zoom out button, but you guys know what to do with maps online. You can also zoom in and out by using the scroll wheel on your mouse. So next up, let's take a look at the mobile version. So this is the iOS version of GAIA GPS. I don't have access to an Android device, but I'm sure it looks pretty similar in Android. So let's start from the top and work our way to the bottom here. At the top left-hand corner, you have that red icon, and if I click that, that's going to start recording a track. Again, we're going to talk way more about tracks in a future video. For now, I'm going to stop that. And then to the right of that, you have two pieces of information. Right now I have them set to elevation and accuracy, but if you touch either one of those, that'll give you a little selection of all the different things you can set those two pieces of information to. Just below that big black bar that we just looked at, you have your distance scale, and then in the center there, you have your compass. And that's going to tell you whatever direction you're currently pointing towards with your phone. Toward the bottom left-hand corner, you have that little 4 arrow icon that you see, and that's just going to get rid of your bottom menu and that little side menu. Just below that is your little arrowhead icon, and that's going to relate to your current location on the map there, which you can kind of see me rotating around right now. I'm going to move the map to a completely different area than where I'm at right now, and I'm going to click that arrowhead icon, and it's going to bring me to my current location. I stopped it just so it's not going to zoom in and you don't know where I live, right? But you can see that that arrow icon is a solid color right now, which just means that your current location marker is going to stay in the center of the map unless you pan around the map manually or you click it one more time. If we do it one more time, you kind of get more of like an hourglass looking icon, and that's going to show that view of you panning with the map, whatever direction you're pointing in, just like I have right now. And if you click it one more time, you get an outline triangle icon, which means that the map is locked and your current location marker will move. So if I were moving in the direction that I'm pointing in right now, you would see that marker start moving toward the top of the screen. And of course, right now, our orientation isn't pointed north anymore, but you see that little compass icon toward the top right corner. If you touch that, that'll bring you back to north being at the top. Below the arrowhead icon, you have map layers. And if we click into that, that just goes into all your map layer information that you have, which we'll take a look at in a future video. Next to that, you have a little information button, and that's going to get you your current map info on every single layer that you have selected right now. All I have is one layer currently. So I'm going to go back, and then to the right of that, you have a big green circle with a plus on it, and that just lets you create areas, routes, take photos, and waypoints. Your bottom menu bar, we're currently on the map right now, that's why it's highlighted. If I click on trip, that's where you can record a trip just like you're doing with the track record button at the top left there. You also have access again to your camera. And to the right of the camera icon, that little bar on the bottom just gives you a little visual on how strong your connection to GPS satellites is right now. Next to trip, you have search, just like the search bar on the web version. Let's go to Half Dome again. And that'll bring the center of the map right to what you looked for. Next to search, you have saved. Again, just like in the web version, all your saved data is there. And then finally on the far right is settings. And there are a ton of settings in the mobile version. We're not going to be going into each one of them. They're pretty self-explanatory overall. But as we go through this video series, I will point out any settings that are really pertinent to what we're talking about. So that's pretty much your basic overview of the web and mobile versions, just kind of what you're looking at on the screen and a very small glimpse at what each of those things do. In future videos, I have things broken down into different sections that are going to talk about all the features of GAIA GPS and how to use them. The next video is going to be all about map layers, and then we're going to look at creating waypoints, routes, and areas. We're also going to talk about saving offline maps, organizing your data, importing, exporting, and sharing your data, navigating when you're actually out there having an adventure, and finally putting everything you learn into practice. So I'll be putting all of these videos in the one playlist just so it makes it easy for you guys to find things. Stay tuned for the entire video series. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, remember that destinations don't matter, the journey matters. This is Roger, wishing you happy navigating.